Hi everyone, my name is Tati and I am the founder of Moon Sign Supplies, which is an astrology-inspired lifestyle brand, and I make videos on astrology, tarot, self-growth, self-care. So if that interests you, please continue watching, please subscribe. I also want to say that I have an amazing Patreon community if you're interested in astrology and art, and I host 2 monthly events on the Insight membership. The community is just so loving, so welcoming. We just love talking about astrology, tarot, self-growth, self-care, and it's just a very collaborative, creative environment. So yeah, please check it out. I'm continuing my moon sign series, and I'm going to be talking about the moon in Aquarius. So before I get into it, what is your moon sign? Your moon sign is your inner emotions, your inner feelings, your inner self. I do think the moon sign is such a relatable part of your birth chart because it kind of just shows you how you feel, and we tend to really resonate with that aspect. I think it's such a unique placement. What I love about this placement is they are just so forward thinking. They're very, very unique. They really push the envelope in a lot of different situations. They just love doing things in a different way. Like, they love helping people see a different perspective altogether. They love finding out a really niche topic and talking about it. They love being around their community. They have so many strengths, and I love these traits about them. When you have your moon in Aquarius, I will say emotions can be a bit tricky. I think the air moons have this mind versus feeling based tension. Aquarius moons might overthink and overanalyze a lot of their situations and feelings, but they try to rationalize a lot of different things. I think it's super important for them to consider accepting their feelings because they want it to be very rational and straightforward, but those aren't emotions. What Aquarius moons really need to watch out for is that they need to be careful of detaching from their emotions. They need to be careful of detaching from society when they're not feeling the greatest. And this is a defense mechanism, but they can often just try to ignore what's going on or what they're actually feeling and distract themselves or just be super anxious. Worst case scenario for an unevolved Aquarius moon, they could maybe ignore people. They could just go off the grid and have a negative reaction in other people. So it's super important that they do take time for themselves, to set certain boundaries for themselves, but to communicate those boundaries, saying certain things like, hey, I'm not feeling the greatest, I can't do this, or hey, I might respond later to this, I need some time right now. And I think this is super, super important for them to do because other people worry about them. So they really need to consider that and themselves and how much time they need to process their emotions. It might be harder for them, so they really need to have those conversations or to write things down if they feel like they can't talk it through. So as an Aquarius moon, community is such an important thing. I love this about Aquarius moons. We have a few Aquarius moons in the Patreon group and I love them so much. They understand the importance of community and how strong a community is when they are united, and they love uplifting their community. If their community is doing well, then they are doing well too. And I think this is such a beautiful trait of Aquarius moons. And I do think this is kind of like part of their life path in understanding, finding their community, finding the people that they are supposed to be with, that understand them, that are there for them. That's part of their life path because it's such a strong emotional attachment to them. I know that there is the North Node and the South Node, and that could be different, but to be able to find their community and feel safe and heard and validated is going to help them out so much in terms of their own personal growth. What's really unique about Aquarius moons are just how they understand this, innately. They just understand that when communities are thriving and when they can support their community, they will, because they understand that it's not about if one person is thriving, then they can't thrive. They understand if everyone's thriving, there's room for everyone to thrive. And I think this is amazing. This is an amazing trait that they have. So Aquarius moons also are very unique, very original. They personally feel very comforted if they are doing very different things than their peers. Actually feel emotionally stable and grounded when they're not following the norm. They're not following what everyone else is doing. And it's just really funny and interesting because they want to do it in a group setting as well. And it's about finding that balance for them. Really important for them is to embrace their individuality as much as possible, to embrace their uniqueness as much as possible, because that's going to help them so much. So Aquarius moons are also very aloof. They might seem a bit cold to other people. They might seem a bit distant. And this is just because, you know, they might have experienced this in childhood, so they are kind of expressing that too. So they kind of have to understand that other people might feel that from them. So maybe they have to just think about that when within friendships, within their community, within partnerships, relationships. And if you want me to do a video on just the signs, all the zodiac signs in relationships, please let me know down below. Another great thing about Aquarius moons is that they have this deep for spirituality. They have this more something greater than themselves. And this goes back to their oriented nature. Is they're actually very highly sensitive. They're more sensitive than what they give off, and this is often because they're just feeling everything. They're feeling so many feelings, but what really comforts them and validates them is spirituality, is inner growth, is community, and knowing that when everything is connected, everything makes sense. They're very humanitarian. They really love doing things for their community, society, human rights. They're very activist focused, which is great. They're very, like, I would call them amazing activists. And I think they would be great professors. They would be great teachers. They would be great at podcasts. They would be great at, they're great artists. They're diplomats. They would just be great at pushing the envelope as much as possible to help society move forward. And honestly, I think a great time for them is when Saturn goes into Aquarius, which is soon. So if you're watching this after that, which is in 2 to 3 years, then let me know how that is for you. Let me know how that was for you. Aquarius moons are very idealistic, and I think what they have to be careful of is being too idealistic and not being grounded in reality sometimes. Because they can be so forward-thinking, it can be hard for people to really recognize their strengths and to recognize and value what they have to offer and what they can put on the table. So I think they really need partnerships, and they really need people to help ground them, because they are an air sign, so they might need someone to talk ideas through how to make things sustainable and to help sustain themselves. Because they are so creative, it might take a longer journey for them to get others to see how much value they bring to the table. So they just have to understand things take time. Maybe their time might not be this second, but it will be their time. So they're very friendly and outgoing. I will say they're super friendly, they're outgoing. They need downtime for sure to recharge, but they are just such friendly, loving people. And yeah, I think this is such a great trait for Aquarius moons. One other thing that Aquarius moons should know is that they can be a bit confused by other people's emotional needs, because they themselves can be confused about their own emotional needs, and that's because they can detach. So they really have to, they might even have to ask other people, like, what do you emotionally need right now? What do you feel like? How can I be there for you? How can I support you? And I think this is, like, with age, they will understand this, but because they do overthink and do overanalyze, they might, and they seem a bit cold to people sometimes, then they might have to go out of their way to ask, okay, how can I support you? How can I show you my support or my love? And that's just something for them to consider. Awesome. So in summary, like, What I love about Aquarius moons, of course, is their future-oriented outlook, progressive nature, how they push boundaries, how they push the envelope, love their community, just express themselves in such a different way, and how friendly and kind-hearted they are to the people around them. I love this so much about them. So I hope this helps. Let me know what you think. Please comment below if you resonate with this. Please share this with your Aquarius moon friends. Let them know you see them, that you love them. Again, if you are interested in joining a loving, welcoming Patreon community full of creatives and astrologers and tarot readers and just people doing different things, then check the link down below to my Patreon community. We host monthly events. They're super fun. So yeah, check it out. Universe has your back, and with peace and love, take care.